Hi guys, welcome to Legion Live. So this week I am joined by IDICBeer.
Hi guys.
And then next to him we've got Mike.
Hello, hello.
Not even bothering with his channel name. Just below me we've got Tabletop Banter.
Hello.
Next to him we've got Phil, down that way. All the way over there we've got the Warpforge.
Hey.
And down the bottom, all the way down there, it's a packed show, so we've had to take up a whole extra line. We've got Dice Miniature Painting Guy. That's
Hello.
what I put down there. Whoa. Okay, right. Something worth mentioning at this point, I haven't changed Phil's name. Your new channel name is FK Wargaming, is that right?
Yeah, FK Wargaming, that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to change that in a moment anyway.
It's alright, great, thanks.
Because I'm that professional.
Very.
Right. So there's our intros. We may as well go into the first section, which is Legion and Channel News. Right.
Okay, maybe.
Let's kick off. I'm going to start with
I think
one who's laughing the most.
Yeah, next time.
I'm going to pick Callum to go first because he seems to be enjoying himself the most.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, it's lovely. So, okay. Right, what's been going on my channel? Well, plenty of things have been going on. I've got some new series lined up that I've been recording. Been very busy painting, so hopefully get some showcases up. As well as that, I have actually released the book I was writing, Crash Landing on Kakarius. So that's on the Tabletop Banter blog as a free PDF. I've also got a little page on there for like buying primed miniatures and stuff now as well. So that's just a little endeavour I'm trying out as well. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy time. Lots of building, lots of painting, plenty of recording as well.
It's all go, go, go.
It is indeed, yeah. Probably shouldn't be. I've got exams soon, but everyone needs a distraction. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, procrastination is
winning.
Is the key. It's winning indeed. Right, I may as well go next. If you hadn't noticed, I've made a return to 40k and gone a bit mad on the old Dark Eldar and spent lots of money and been busy painting it all up and converting and etc, etc, etc. Yeah, I'm going to try not to neglect everything else that's on the channel because I know I've got subscribers who enjoy that, so I'm going to try and get back to that sort of stuff, but I am well and truly into my Dark Eldar at the moment, so that has been my time since the last show, which has been quite a long time, 3 weeks. It's a long old time. Who wants to go next?
Don't all jump on it at once.
I'll go for one. Yeah.
Go for it.
I've been very, very busy, but only literally on one project, just my Space Wolves. Pretty much every waking hour, and probably chance I've got is painting those. Desperately trying to finish them for the end of April, for the Achievable April Challenge. It has been a challenge, but I'm definitely getting there, so I think I'll be able to finish, hopefully in time for the challenge to finish. But yeah, that is literally what I've been doing, just painting Space Wolves.
There's worse things to be doing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Work.
Right, we may as well start from the top and go down. So, Mike, what have you been up to?
Finished the Bloodthirster, which I'm pretty pleased with. That came out nice. Been really busy in work there, but I've been building stuff for Dead Man's Hand. So I've been knocking out the foreground scenery. I've built the there it is. The
Are
old,
those ones that are pre-painted, are they? Or?
Yeah. It's the livery for
That's
my stables that's going
Are
to be
you
on the
gonna-
next. Go on.
I was going to say, are you going to weather those up?
Yeah, eventually.
Add some dust to them
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's just kind of getting them built,
Yeah.
getting the board made, and then once the board's made and the kind of terrain is on, I'll start weathering the buildings up then. But they look pretty good, to be fair. I mean, they're really usable straight out of the box, to be honest.
Definitely.
So that's what I've been doing. I've cleared all of those, so it's on to painting now next. I'm deciding what to paint next. I'm sort of looking at the stuff. Went to Salute as well. That was really good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anybody else go to Salute or just Mike?
I didn't manage to go in the end, so
Oh, good.
No, I didn't go this year.
I'm gonna try and go next year, I think. Hopefully, but we'll see.
yeah, definitely it looks better and better each year, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not allowed out very much, so. But we'll see. Right, FK
Legion tour
War-
to Salute.
yeah, exactly.
I've been working on my Black Shields army, really the Void Scorpions, and I managed to finish one squad, the Terminators and so on. I'm sure you've seen the videos and so on. I've sort of finished off
Yes.
these guys, and I've sort of moved on to a tactical squad and an assault squad. So sort of slowly working my way through those.
So are those 30k or are they just a
Yeah, it's all
different legion?
30k. Yeah, basically
Oh, right.
30k. Yeah, 30k Black Shields. If no one knows, they're basically sort of non-legion sort of troops. They're their own army in their own backstory and so on. So
All right.
yeah, it's pretty good. So you sort of create your own legion for 30k. So that's good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right, Warforge, Jacob.
Yeah, haven't been doing much because obviously like deadlines are looming in, but I've managed to paint up Deadshot, which you can see in the latest Arkham Files video,
Ah,
Batman miniatures game. In addition, mistakes were made in the starting the army as well. This time it's Renegade Knights.
Oh, nice.
all right.
And, basically, I just looked at the rules because it's literally like 3 pages of rules. It basically just says maximum 3 knights, and then allies with Chaos Marines and Renegades and Heretics as Battle Brothers. In addition, Orcs can be allies of convenience of these guys. And I just thought, hang on, you can have 2 Gatling cannons. So I was just thinking, why not have 2 Gatling cannons, the giant rocket on its back, because nothing screams Michael Bay more than a few and big ass guns. So
That's true, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, and last but not least, long-time Legion member, first-time Legion Live guest, we've got the Dice Miniature Painting Guy. You been up to much this week?
Yeah, a lot. Hello, guys. A lot Blood Bowl. I have a lot of Blood Bowl going on. Dark Eldar and random pieces. Just a lot of projects.
That's cool. So
Yeah.
It's always good to have a nice variation of what you're playing with.
Yeah.
It's a problem too because I got these ogres and want to do grotesque on, inspired by
right.
someone here.
It's all about those grotesques.
I can't slay. I do not want to slay these ones because I do
Oh.
play hordes as well.
Snap!
But,
I've got the same model in my hand. Isn't it?
Yeah, cool.
He's the only
Oh,
one who
lots of good-
survived.
Nice.
What?
I was just saying that's the only one that survived because he's got that cape on his back.
Yeah.
The rest of them
Pretty
got
much.
converted.
No, I'm not converting anybody of them. They are staying like that.
I must admit they are really nice models.
Yeah,
And because they're made
they're
of
really
solid,
good gaming
yeah.
pieces too in the game.
because they're solid plastic as well. They've got a really nice weight to them. It's
Yeah.
really strange. If this was made by GW, it'd be like 5 pieces of hollow plastic all glued together with seam lines and all that sort of stuff. And these are just like solid. I
Chunk
love
of
it. Yeah. I might just convert
Really solid.
everything I build out of Hordes miniatures.
Good use for this.
Indeed. Right. I guess we may as well move on to the talking point, which is topic for discussion. Right. So this week's topic for discussion is basically about paint, painting miniatures, that sort of thing. So the first talking point that we've got for tonight is the importance of painting miniatures to us personally. So what sort of onus or importance do we put on getting our miniatures painted before they hit the table?
Personally, I think that it's a very important part of the hobby to me. I mean, first of all, I love to paint, so there's always going to be like, okay, I understand that I'm motivated to paint before I play, but I know a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
The importance personally is, I think that 40k for me is like a visual thing, because when you see models on a table, and like the terrain's really nice, the models are nice. You're just like, oh, this is so cool. I wish I wasn't there because that would not be the place I'd want to be. But it's that kind of immersive feel to it that I really, really enjoy. And there's nothing worse than just looking at the other side of the table and just seeing all grey. Unless the paint scheme is grey.
Unless they're Space Wolves.
Yeah, obviously.
Or Grey Knights.
Okay. Unpainted.
Do you think anyone's ever done Grey Knights and literally just left them bare plastic and painted on details?
I'm sure they have.
Probably, yeah. Well, I know someone who's played Red Scorpions as grey plastic, so and said, "Yeah, I've pretty much done them now." I was like, "Have you?" That's interesting. But yeah, I think it's a very important part of playing the game. So I try my very best to have everything painted before I play. It makes for difficult gaming though, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, if you're not playing 2,000 points, I'm not interested." And that's just our local meta is like that. So when I turn up with like 500, 750 points of painted minis, they're very much like, well, you can't play. So I find that people don't have it in the same regard as I do. But to me personally, painting minis is quite important. But I don't know if all of you share the same or differing, of course.
I think, like, for me, I'm the guy who usually brings all the unpainted minis, so that's why I'm just trying to get all the paint on, where I haven't done battle reports for a long, long time because I'm just busy painting. I suppose for me, it might be a little bit different because I'm entrenched in so many games. I mean, I'm starting Infinity in the next weekend. So it's kind of daunting, especially when you play Orcs, when you've finished, like, a squad of 5 Meganobs, and you think, I've got 45 more of the little things to paint. Yeah. So that, and it's like all my chaos and all that, I'm rebooting my whole chaos army for Night Lord specific only. In addition, I've got Horus Heresy on top of that, and it does feel overwhelming at times, but you've just got to kind of like block it out, just paint it. And I think my meta is a bit more forgiving on the painting schedule, so it's like a lot of people still play regardless of painted or unpainted minis. It's just when it comes to reports, people are a bit like finicky. But aside from that, it's like I suppose I'm very grateful for the meta that I'm in.
I think a lot of people are like that. I generally try to play the minis that I've got painted, and then if I can't quite make the points, then I will throw usually black primed miniatures on the table.
Yeah,
my stuff's generally built and primed black straight afterwards, so everything just stays that colour.
Yeah. A lot of my stuff is just primed. It's primed for a few weeks or anything else, but getting further on it. So it sort of shows willingness that you're actually going to paint it at some point. Made a start somewhere along the line, so that's good.
Yeah.
I guess that's the difference between like painting and showing the intent to paint and not painting at all. It's quite different. So if someone's like playing primed minis or just base coated or something, I'm not so fussed because obviously they're making the progress. It's a hobby, take it your own speed and that. But it's when someone's got like bits of a Space Marine that are all plastic and he's missing an arm or something. He's like, "Yeah, this is my captain," and you're like, not really sure I'm supposed to believe that. To be honest, like, a bit of love and care is required, I think.
Yeah.
But
it's probably a talking point for another episode, but for me, almost WYSIWYG is almost more important than painting, or as important, to be honest.
I'm kind of with you on
that. Being able to determine what the opponent's using and what you're aiming at is quite a big thing, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
In terms of painting, from my point of view, I've actually changed because I think now that I have a lot of my percentage of my armies painted, I'm actually in a position where I can say I will only paint with painted models. If I need a new unit that I want to play with, I can take my time and paint it and get it ready to play. But I've been very much in a position in the past where I've played with unpainted models with no qualms at all, both me and my buddies, and it's not really had the impact on me at all. But having the YouTube channel has totally changed that because obviously the battle reports do look a lot better with painted minis. And if you look at some of my old battle reports, like when I first started, I was playing my Eldar, and I pretty much had nothing painted. And it's quite nice watching the battle reports over the years, and you can gradually see the army being painted. But definitely now, I don't play with anything that's unpainted. A, because of the channel, and B, because as most of my armies are painted now, I just feel like, I don't want to. But I don't have anything against unpainted playing, because at the end of the day, you're just playing a game. So as long as everyone's having fun, that's the main thing, really.
True. I mean, not much of my stuff is ever actually finished. I will say that. Everything, I generally paint to tabletop. So the whole of my Dark Eldar army is painted to tabletop. And what that means is it looks, from 2 foot away, it looks finished. But as soon as you get closer, you start noticing that the vials of liquid are just black, for example. And certain attachments haven't got any silver on them, that sort of thing. So
yeah,
the closer you get, you do notice
actually.
it.
Yeah, because I have to finish my models before I can play them. But obviously, I am going to be painting my Dark Eldar, and that's going to be a lot of points I'm going to be painting. And my aim is to paint it in a month, the whole army. And obviously, from my point of view, obviously, I do try generally to paint every model to the best of my abilities. So the Eldar thing is going to be a total challenge, because I'm going to have to do it the opposite way round, a bit like you, where I'm going to be doing like the majority of the stuff, but not having it so I can play them, and they're going to look painted, but not necessarily finished. So that maybe in the future I can go back in and do the extra stuff there. So it's going to be a challenge to myself to not paint to the highest standard that I can.
Yeah.
What I find is if you're looking to paint something quickly, like to a deadline, if you actually just paint everything if you say prime it all at once, you've got a whole black army, then you want to pick out the base colour for the majority of the armour, for example. I'll do that, and then I'll work on everything that's silver becomes silver on the whole army, and everything that needs white on it becomes white in the whole army. And I do it that way. So eventually, when I get to a stage where I've got 3, 4, 5 colours and a couple of washes on, from the distance you'll be sort of playing with the army, it looks completely painted. But of course it's not. It's missing quite a lot of the details.
But you have like 20% to your finished. 80% are done.
Yeah.
So, batch painting. Yeah, batch painting is a good way of doing it.
Exactly. It's just a completely different way of painting it. It's how I painted a lot of the stuff that I've got here. And that way I was able to paint racks at the same time as the Kronos paint engine, because the armour is the same colour on both. The bone is the same colour, the skin is the same colour, so every stage that the racks went through, the Talos paint engine went through the same stages. That's basically how I get things done.
That's literally what I'm going to do. Is going to coat them all black. I'm going to go and pick out the orange highlights. I'm going to do the skin, probably do some metal work on the guns and stuff, give them a wash, and then see how they look from there.
And you'll probably find they look like really decent from a distance. Yeah.
I've been told that about myself, funnily enough.
You look decent from a distance.
From a distance, yeah. You can just stand back a bit. That'd be great.
Yeah. Would you mind just? Yeah. Awesome. That's it. Right. Just take this opportunity to do a little shout out in the chat. We've got Fire Breathing Duck. We've got Tattoo for You. We've got Tabletop Warzone. That seems to be all the people who have said hello so far, I think.
And
excuse me if I've missed it. Oh, okay. Fantastic. Welcome. If you're watching, I know we've got just over 10 people watching. If you want to throw a hello in there, we'll say hi back. So the next point to cover that I've got down here is we're going to go more into sort of the paints themselves. So we've all got favourite paints and favourite paint pots and that sort of thing. So we just wanted to cover that as well. I'm going to keep an eye on the time this week because we went well over the other time. So who wants to jump in with their favourite paints that they use?
I'll go first. I think my favourite is Vigello's game colour range. I think it's mainly because it's cheap. You can just squirt it out in a bit. You don't have to get it from part, have the potential to damage your brushes as you're brushing it down onto a palette. You just squeeze it down, water it down with a little bit of water, and then apply it as you go. And the amount of colours that you can get, it reminds us a lot of the old Citadel paint range, which I enjoyed a lot, especially for stuff like the turquoise, which looks exactly like Hawk turquoise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently, yeah, I mean, there's a little story. Apparently, like Game Colour was going to be the original Citadel paint range, but apparently Citadel found a different company to do them and a cheaper price. So basically, kicked the Game Colour people out, and they just start their own range, and hence why some of the names sound very much or very similar to the original Citadel paints, because it was meant to be like a cheeky little ode to them kind of thing.
I must admit, I always thought that Citadel, because they've been making them since before I even joined the hobby, 15, 20 years ago, or however long it was, I almost assumed that they'd made them themselves and they had a whole factory going with paints and stuff rather than going to another company. That's really strange.
That's the
I
story.
just assumed that all along. I almost assumed that Citadel started off as a paint company, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's what they're doing with their new range of paints, I think. Possibly.
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, talking about Games Workshop paints, that's basically what I use. The main reason I only use them is because it's very, very convenient for me to get those paints. I have nowhere locally that I can just nip in and pick up a game colour paint, for example. All I can get my hands on is the Citadel stuff. So I've been using that for, obviously, since I started. On the whole, I am happy with their paints. I think they do have some really good paints. They have, in the new range, there are a couple of dodgy ones. I don't like the new black, for example. That's rubbish compared to the old Chaos Black. It's very, very thin. And the white tends to go quite deep. So there are definitely some issues, but on the other side of the coin, some of the paints are actually really, really awesome. I have done some online orders for some game colour paints as replacements for the old paints, because obviously I want to keep some of the colours the same. And if I had a local store that stocks them where I could just nip in and pick up a pot of paint, I would probably go for those.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I stick to GW, really. But interesting, we're talking about paints. I went into my paint pot to get my Riser Rust out today, which I've only used 3 times before. It's now in the bin. It's gone all... Right. Yeah, I mean, you put it on the brush and it's horrible. It's like... Yeah, it's in the bin. It's a bit disappointing when that happens. And I also find the Rune Fang still, that goes quite off quite quickly as well. I've got to really, really shake it.
Okay. Well, personally for me...
Dry brush. Nick, isn't that a dry brush paint? It's supposed to be a lot thicker, isn't it?
Yeah, but it has gone off, though. It's nothing like it used to be. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me personally, I use a mixture of model colour, so the Vallejo model colour, because I'm a cheapskate. And I then, let's find a good example. Here we go. I put my Citadel paints in dropper bottles because the problem I have with the Citadel paint pots are they dry out really quickly. And also, I'm really clumsy, so I knock them over. Whilst I'm trying to use them, I can't get into the bottom. You damage a brush and stuff. So to be able to put them in dropper bottles and just go put a drop on the palette is really handy. I think in terms of the 2 paints, the Citadel ones are nicer. They are twice as expensive for half as much paint. So 4 times more expensive. So I'm starting to lean towards Vallejo a lot more. Just as easy to use. Just the yellow I use seems a little it feels plasticky, which might sound odd. But when you mix it with a bit thinner, it just doesn't lay down a very nice coat. I found myself using 5 or 6 thin down coats just to get a solid application of yellow, and even then it's a bit dodgy. But definitely.
Yellow is dodgy.
Sorry, after you.
The yellow colors are dodgy, whatever brand.
That is true. Yeah, I have heard that it's one of the slightly and most annoying ones to paint, other than white on anything other than a white primer. But definitely putting Citadel paints in the dropper bottles has made my life 10 times easier. And I don't have any problems with separation and drying out because it's all sealed. So you
I
know,
would like to do that to my my aging paint set, but if I were to try and do that now, it literally would not fit in the end of the dropper bottle. It's so congealed and lumpy inside that I'd get very little paint. It's awful. When I'm painting, I'm basically, my paintbrush is like scraping the side of a paint lump just to get some paint on the end of it so I can use it.
Oh, dear.
It's
Oh,
terrible.
You need
So
to buy a new
slowly,
one.
yeah, I'm slowly making the change to model colour. I think that's 3 of us for Vallejo.
Leo!
But I'm also I've also got things like the quick shade from
Yeah.
Army Painter, but not the sort of big tubs, just the little dropper bottles. One thing I will say, as much as I don't like the paint pots that GW use, the little lip that's on the lid as you lift it up is fantastic for if you just want to do like one paintbrush worth of paint. If you just missed a spot on something and you just want to dip your paintbrush, paint it, you can't do that with the dropper bottles. You've literally got to squeeze out like a whole drop just to paint like the tiniest little bit. So that is a downside to using the droppers. But saying that, they probably still last longer, even with the extra wastage of having to take a drop out of them. So it's,
I was going to say,
swings and
like,
roundabouts.
having the little half is much better than having a dried out paint pot, like
Well,
Yeah.
kicking around.
But talking about old paints, I'll put this back on the video again. So this is
yes.
some really old school Games Workshop paint. So
I think the design of that pot was probably quite well done, to be honest.
Yeah,
Considering
yeah.
people have got
The
old
paint-
tubs that have last years.
yeah, it's lasted ever since I've had it, and you can see it's still paint in there and bits and pieces like
Yeah.
that. So yeah,
I know
so
the company.
had that when I was a child, and then obviously had a hobby break, and then come back, and it's still okay to paint. So I think the price of the paints are okay if obviously if it's going to last 20 years or something like
Well,
that, it probably pays for itself.
Obviously, don't paint enough.
Not in that colour anyway.
Oh yeah,
to do a Nurgle army or something.
I can see why that's left. What were you going to say, Kim?
That is Coat the Arms. Is making
Coat Arms,
those
yeah.
paints. And you can buy
Oh,
them.
right. So that's who
Okay.
they used to use, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the same company. And they produce that paint still.
okay.
Well, there you go.
If you like
Have to
the-
look them up.
yeah.
So that's coat
You
of
sorted-
arms, was that?
Coat d'arms.
Yeah.
Coat d'arms.
Coat the Arms.
Okay. Sounds a bit French.
Make a note of that.
Well, so does Vallejo. Does all the paint come from France? Random question. Sorry.
All of the paint in the world. I think so. Yeah, I have heard rumours of
Every
it.
single drop, even the stuff they mix down the local shop,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
like
That's-
B&Q and that.
There's a channel that runs under all of the countries from France, and it just pumps out into the separate locations.
Yeah, just lots of
Oh.
tubes, one tube for each colour.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to tell everyone that, but
In
Yeah,
France,
someone's going to be knocking on your door now, Callum.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, if you don't see me for a
teams.
few weeks, I've actually fled the country.
Okay, on that random tangent.
I'm a fan of the Games Workshop paints as well. To be fair, like Nick, it's I've been painting for a lot of years, and when I was a kid, the Games Workshop paints were the only ones that were available. So you kind of start with those, and I've just continued with those through adulthood as well. Although saying that, I did a video on it a while back when they changed the entire range. You know, back in the day when they had the old Chaos Black and the old Bolt Gun
Bolt
Metal,
Gun
you
Metal.
know, and they changed the whole range, didn't they? And none of the colours are quite the same. And made the decision of whether I was going to stick with Citadel colours or move over to Vallejo or whoever else. But made the decision to stick with Citadel. So I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. And like Callum, I do a lot of airbrushing as well. So put Citadel paints in the dropper bottles, and I've got a rack of Citadel paints in dropper bottles. Although you can get Citadel airbrush paints now, can't you? But in the same
In the pot, yeah.
in
Which
the
is
pot. So
baffling
So I-
to me.
ridiculous.
I would still
Absolutely
transfer
ridiculous.
those. I would still transfer those into drop bottles.
Do
Just
they
for
sell
airbrushing
do they sell pipettes that are ridiculously expensive as
No.
well?
Oh, they don't work.
They're missing a
One
trick there.
use
Work.
pipette. Wouldn't surprise me. That was a really daft move for them, and to be honest, it's probably just going to be watered down paint at the end of the day, isn't it?
It's exactly what it is.
Right,
I mean,
yeah. It's a bit
when I
thinner.
transfer the normal Citadel paints into dropper bottles, I'll mix it with airbrush thinner, so you can
So
get
do
all
I,
the
yeah.
paint out of the pot, and then mix it in the dropper bottle. And I inadvertently picked up some Fenrisian grey or something the other day from Citadel, and the airbrush version mistakenly, and it's exactly the same. It's just that. It's just thinned down normal Citadel paint. I'm sure. I mean, it's the same sort of consistency that I make with thinner. So but either way. But I was saying that I will use the Vallejo stuff for priming. I prime all my stuff with an airbrush and use the Vallejo blacks or greys rather than the rattle cans.
I think I need to start doing that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It goes far. The through an airbrush at least anyway. You get a big, the larger tub of primer, and it goes quite a way compared to the rattle cans from my experience at least anyway.
It definitely sounds like something to do. Right, just to have a bit of a tangent here, I've noticed we've got Big Mac Dunskull. We've got Shell Shock M3, Wargame of Sean. Am I forgetting anybody that we've seen in the chat? We've got Fire Duck. Is it Fire Duck Studios? Duckfire? The duck.
Duckfire
It's on fire.
Fire breathing duck.
Fire breathing duck. There we go. How awesome am I at talking?
So good.
I am sitting in an underground bunker, in case you were wondering.
It's true.
This is a shed, which is
Cloak.
it looks like I'm in a
Cloak.
strange space station or something. It's quite bizarre. This is home. I guess we've got time. We were basically just going to cover this if we had time. And the last talking point I've got down here is painting methods. Now, we have covered a bit of this actually, when I was talking about how I go through all my miniatures at once in a production line kind of thing. So I guess we'll cover how we paint them. I mean, this could cover things like how you build up your layers as well. Because the way I've approached my Dark Eldar is actually very different to, I think, how most people do it. And essentially what I've done is I start off with the black, and then I do a heavy dry brush of dark green, and then I do a light dry brush of bright green. And that is basically the armour done.
Yeah.
It gives me the dark bits, it gives me low lights, it gives me highlights, and it's all got a perfect blend to it. And they say one of the problems with dry brushing is it makes the colours quite cold, and that works brilliantly for Dark Eldar if you want to have like a nice sort of subdued colour. And it works from everything, from the smallest miniatures all the way up to the big tanks. That technique that I've used. So that's I guess is one of the things that I wanted to share that I'm doing. That's quite strange. I don't think I've ever seen anybody paint an army in that way, to be honest.
Yeah, GW in their White Dwarfs as well have started using dry brushing as an alternative to edge highlighting stuff on the marines and stuff. It's a quicker way of doing marines and bits and pieces like that. They gave an example on the Calf Marines, both Ultramarines and World Bearers. So it's a technique I tend to use as well, a dry brushing technique, to sort of, rather than edge highlighting everything. So I tend to do that on quite a few of my models and so on. So I think dry brushing is a good technique to use. Yeah,
it's surprising what it can do. I mean, I was literally going from very dark green to like bright green, and there's just the variation of colour I've got on going from that dark colour to the light colour. You'd think I'd used wet blending and about 4 different paints. And it's perfect for me because of the colour blindness. I can't see these 4 different paints. I can't tell which one looks similar to the other. So if I'm just playing with dark green and light green, I don't get confused. I don't need to care if they look the same colour to me. I know they are. And that's all that matters to me. Simple as.
Yeah, I mean, I've done Well, okay, I've been in the hobby again for 11 months, and my painting has changed so much from the first brush stroke to now.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
And I mean, like, so much. The first video I ever did was talking about how I paint my minis. And that was 11 months ago. And I look back at it, and I'm almost tempted to get rid of it, because I just would never say this is the way to paint a mini ever again in my life. Because it was so bad.
As long as you made it clear that you weren't telling people to paint that way, then it's fine.
Yeah, true. So I might have to go and put some kind of like screen up saying, please ignore this.
Yes.
Because what I used to do was just sort of a base coat, and then I used to really thin down black paint with water and just sort of like slap it on like that, and I'd be like, oh, look, I'm done. And it was really bad, so I don't do that. But what I do now is sort of what I'm between at the moment is building up a simple base coat, using some appropriate washes. Some areas I don't bother washing. I try and be selective as well. So like I used to just wash and then dry brush, and then that would be it. But now I'm trying to put the washes in certain places, and not washing some of the element plating. Lots of edges, but they're all curved, so it just kind of rolls nicely. But for a lot of more rugged miniatures, like my guard and that, where they're wearing more cloth, I'll always do a dry brush. Because I find that with a rippled cloth texture, a dry brush just seems to look more natural. Also, it's a darn sight easier. I'm not going to like every single ruffle on this shirt. I'm just no.
Yeah. I just had a drop of frames, 500 frames. So that was potentially a couple of seconds. So I guess apologies to those guys watching. There will have been a gap somewhere in there where we all just froze in place. So,
did it on purpose.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I just got alerts popping up all over the place. Your computer's crap.
Yeah. Probably mine.
But it seems to have passed now, so we should be stable from this point on. It should be okay.
I think also it's worth maybe mentioning brushes as well. The current range of GW brushes are really good brushes, and especially their dry brushes. Yes, so it depends on the paint that you use and the brushes at the end of the day as well is what end result you get. So as Kim was showing off a few paint brushes there as you go through there, but
yeah.
No,
I can't.
Disappointed in the new dry brush. To be fair,
Really?
It's huge. It's massive.
Yeah, I only used the small one because, as you say, even the medium one seems quite large. But yeah, the small one I do quite a lot with.
I tend to use brushes.
I think we've all just grabbed a brush, haven't we? I've just got one. I've got 4. I've had real trouble with I don't know whether this here with the orange end on it and the black main bit is Citadel's current brushes, but I have a real trouble keeping a point on these brushes.
Yeah,
you would not believe.
Yeah, some of the bristles are rubbish.
Yeah.
How do you clean your brushes? How do you clean them?
Water.
I don't lick them. Honest.
However, got soap.
Yeah, saying that, that might be the problem. But I've got some army painter ones that seem a little bit better. But recently, I can't remember what I was watching, but somebody said that basically with the thickness that we've got our paints at, you don't need to go for modelling brushes. What you might be better off going for is watercolour brushes. Because of how thick we have our paints these days. So I picked myself up a 3/0 round paintbrush from Dalla Rowney. I don't know whether that's a good brand or what, but it's absolutely fantastic. It's unbelievably good at keeping its point and retaining paint and everything. It's just head and shoulders above anything else I've used, and it's literally just I would call it an average priced watercolour brush. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's something to be said for that.
Fine tipped paintbrushes, and this is one of the thicker tipped ones, and it cost me £3. Now I know they're going to break, I know they are, but what I'll do with that is it cycles onto a dry brush.
That's true.
Yeah.
You recycle brushes for multiple purposes. So
I've chopped even the thinnest brushes to make an absolutely tiny dry brush in the past.
yeah, I've done the same. Yeah, because this is the small dry brush from Citadel, and I cut it down.
Yeah.
It was just too big. I took my hobby knife to it, and I was just shaving bristles off because it was just way too big for what I wanted it to do. Which was just dry brush some bronze on like one of the lapel bits on the power armor, the edge. That's all I wanted it for, and it was just massive. I was like, I just painted them again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thrown a brush away. I've always just kept them and used them for, as you say, like dry brushes or whatever. Or
stirring paints. It's like,
yeah. Putting paint on a palette or something. It's never throw a paintbrush away.
I know.
Always got it.
Yeah. I know what some people use for cleaning brushes is absinthe. Apparently, that's a cleaner.
Okay.
Better than drinking.
Expensive.
That stuff is horrid.
Oh, it's the devil.
Yeah.
It's the devil. It's like drinking like plastic bags.
It has its uses.
Yeah, it's like
cleaning paintbrushes, obviously.
It's like when you're little, you like put a plastic bag over your head. It's like drinking that. It's like the horrid experience all over again.
Well, that's. I think we've seen some childhood trauma coming through here.
Childhood.
I'm not a young chick, but absinthe is the devil. But it makes a great cleaning product.
That's okay then.
I'll keep that in mind.
So going back to painting, yeah. So what I found also, like Callum, obviously Callum only 11 months, did you say? So yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So obviously I've been painting for many years, but the same scenario. You know, my painting obviously has changed over the years dramatically. But the way I sort of tend to do it is every time I'm painting a model, I'll try a single new technique on that one model. Yeah. And then so I can master that like extra technique, and then once I'm used to that one, then maybe in the future I'll try another technique, and then like gradually bring all those new things together. So rather than try and guessing a model and say, right, this one I'm going to do some wet blending, and I'm going to do some freehand on this one, and I'm going to do some edge highlighting. Do you know what I mean? So you do all the stuff that you're familiar with, and then say, right, on this one I'm going to have a go at doing freehand, and that will be your new learning thing for that particular model. And then gradually, each time you do models, you'll gradually pick new things up. So that's how I've sort of built up my experience as such, doing extra techniques on each one as I've sort of gone along.
Yeah, funny you should say that. I was literally, the steps I've taken in the last 11 months have been from base coating to dry brushing a highlight, including washes, now edge highlighting, airbrushing, like freehand, wet blending, stuff like that. And so it's like I've leaked it in slowly. Yeah.
And exactly, like you talk about edge highlighting, like marines, you know, where you do the shoulder pads, you know, it's like one line. Well, that's, one line, that's a good starting point. But now I'm doing 3 like highlights on my space, you know. Yeah. So, and you just gradually add more depth to the model each time you do it.
Yeah.
It is just learning. That's all it is. Just going for it and having confidence in your abilities, really.
Yeah. I guess I'm lucky in respect for my development in painting, because I went to the Washington Model Club back when I was smaller and stuff, and through the last 10 years I've met loads of proper modelling painters who like just paint up dioramas and stuff like that, who've won awards and been seen in multiple magazines. I mean, there's a guy called Pete there, I think, and he did like this big Judge Dredd miniature and stuff. And they all were quite helpful and used to help us out with like painting techniques and stuff. So it's like if we needed reptilian like crocodile skin for Killer Croc, they'll help us out, just mix up the paints. Try this. Oh, Dredd's great. He is still on.
I think it used to be like that in GW as well. If you went in and started painting something in the corner, someone would usually come across and give you a hand. I don't think I've witnessed that in a while.
Yeah. What I have witnessed, funnily enough, is them going, I think you need this paint.
Oh, you're buying that? So you want this paint and this?
Yeah.
And you'll want to dry brush that area there? Have you got a dry brush?
Yeah. Would you like to know more about this paint?
Yeah. Oh.
Very true.
I'm going to put this out to you guys.
Fire
Is
away.
taking a pen to your models, so not a paintbrush, but a pen, sacrilege? Is that against everything you stand for as a human being?
No.
Hey.
There's like, I remember like watching somebody on Twitch, because Twitch people usually do like live streams when they paint minis, and there was a woman, I think called Silver Foxy Tail, painting this these Sisters of Battle for commission work, and she was using I can't remember what they're called, metallo pens or metal or something, or M paint or something like that. Just like these pens, and for like parchment and stuff, for writings and like inscribe on scrolls and stuff, she'll literally just write with this pen, just squiggly lines on the just solid black on these with these pens, and apparently they're usually stuck and all that. So I think it's a lot nicer way of doing things than just getting a brush, because like if you've got a shaky hand like me and not gifted at keep straight hand, then it's stuff like that is usually kind of godsend.
Yeah, I did some freehand on some of my miniatures, and it looked awful. But all I did was I got a black pen and outlined it by hand, and now it looks awesome. So it just hid the entire of the edge of the the freehand.
Yeah, sometimes a pen like this is good for just doing a freehand outline, and then you can fill it in with paint or follow it,
or do it the other way around. Yeah,
paint, yeah. Because it depends on the pen as well. What ink is in it, if it's actually going to last or not.
Well, this has lasted, I think, close to 2 years now. I don't know what pen it was, but it was a fine liner of some sort, and it hasn't browned or anything.
Permanent pen,
as far as I can see. Yeah. Wasn't a biro. Put it that way.
I did it once on my Help for Heroes Dreadnoughts. I wrote Edic Heroes with what I thought was going to be the proper pen. I did a bit of research. I went to Smith's and got this pen. I thought, yeah, perfect. So I wrote it on there. Woke up the next day and it had all like splodged out.
Oh,
so I had to paint over it, and then I did it freehand with the paintbrush. And I've not looked back really. I won't use a pen now. I've got nothing against people using the pens, but personally, I just wouldn't do it. I'd just go for the freehand really and just. Do it myself. The Commissar Gamza put up that video about painting with the pens, didn't he? Even did edge highlighting with a pen.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a technique, and it is an option. But it's just something personally, I'm just like into the painting so much that I would just rather just do it with the actual paint, and a brush.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally. Oh, yeah, sorry, Craig, after you.
I was just going to say I've remembered what I used. It's CD pens to write on the side of the CDs.
Very much.
And I'm just going to hold it up to the camera. I'm not sure if it's going to show up, but that's basically how it comes out on. You guys can't see that, but hopefully the guys at home can. But yeah, so I think that's why it's permanent, because it's like fine liner and it's designed for writing on CDs.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I have always gone with the paintbrush. Freehand is only something I've been doing for the last month and a bit or so, and it was inspired because I saw Nick's Spaceballs, and I was like, oh, freehand looks really cool. When you put the decals and transfers on, there's always that sheen, and I don't want to have to go out and get a matte varnish just for a sheen. And at the end, I think I would encourage to try freehand to people who don't, because it makes you better just with your brush control. Yeah. Like, I've noticed that mine have gotten better as I do more, and there are some really dodgy freehand like letter C's on some of my stuff. Awful. But I know that because I'm doing it, I'm getting better and better. So I think hopefully that'll help with other techniques as well.
And it does make a massive difference. You just look at Darby Conway's Dark Eldar, from Fire Breathing Duck. He's just done some freehand on the side of his raiders and stuff, and it makes the army look tenfold better. And it's his first freehand experience. He's gone ahead, he's done it. He's preparing to paint his Harlequins and getting used to doing some fine detail work, and he's done a fantastic job. And it is one of those things that you just have to go for it.
And don't be downhearted by don't be downhearted by your first ever try either, because mine was god awful. It was actually crap enough for me to have to repaint over it.
But I bet it looked awesome from a distance.
Oh yeah,
I bet it looked awesome from a distance. One thing, just before we move off the subject of the pens too far, has anyone seen that pen on the internet where you basically put the end of it up against a colour, and it will actually read the colour and then it will draw in that colour. Has anyone
Yeah.
seen
No,
that?
that sounds
No.
amazing.
A while back.
I think it's probably got the 3 inks inside, so it's probably got cyan, magenta, and
Oh, okay, yeah.
yellow inside it, and it mixes it on the fly. But yeah, using that for minis, you can just go into the shop and just push it up against the paint pot of the colour that you wanted, and then draw it on your mini. Perfect.
They would love that.
Ideal.
You'd just be going in like 20 times a day. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just looking at paint.
Literally just sit outside on a curb painting and then go back inside and go, right, black, that's the one I want. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
yeah.
Or you just get, yeah.
I bet the cartridges to refill that with paint though are going to be an absolute fortune, or ink or whatever
Yeah, no doubt.
whatever it's filled with.
I would have gone with just buying the paint. Because you also have to buy the pen.
The pen is probably a couple £100 as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting because it just fits in quite well, I think.
Yeah, of course.
Right, so we've been on for about 50 minutes now. It's probably time to. I think we've covered that. Does everyone feel that they've said everything they wanted to say on those subjects?
All happy days here.
Awesome. Right. So I guess it's time to move on to. I'm not sure we've seen any questions, but hopefully we can get some questions from the viewers. So, viewer questions. Right. Has anyone seen a question in the questions in the chat that they
just looking
fancy
now.
answering?
I'll scroll back right to the beginning.
Yeah, I'd scroll and look myself, but that's going to move the chat window
Yeah, no, it's alright, I'm on it.
and make people very confused.
Haven't seen any as of yet, but feel free to post some so I don't have to be awkward
There
and
is-
quiet while I read.
Yeah, there is one here from Tabletop Warzone. He says, any techniques that people want to master?
Wet blending, I reckon. I
Calligraphy.
think it'd be nice to learn that. Was that calligraphy?
To be able to get airbrush works done without doing the airbrush bit. So like freehanding, it'll look like standard from airbrushes. I would love to do that.
Is that doable? Is that wet blending, or is it something separate?
I think it's just another form of freehand, but it's like you see some works.
Alright.
Like I remember seeing a while back this massive like vampire scout's dragon and a white dwarf. They had this massive banner free-handed and it was all gothic-y and very,
Oh, I see what you mean. So instead of stencils, is what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah, the local GW they had a Dark Eldar Raider, and across the side of the Raider, even though it's only like 2 inches by 2 inches that what they were playing with, they painted this like really elaborate like clown's face on the side of the Raider, and it looked awesome.
Yeah.
So
I think if I would
that'd be
pick-
nice.
If I could pick one thing to master, it would be base coating. Because I honestly think that, I know it sounds ridiculous, right? But if you can get a really nice layered base coat, that probably makes a massive difference.
Mm.
And I don't really find that I have the patience to do more than one colour of a base coat. So,
Yeah, I'm not one of those. Like I say, I'm not one of those people that takes 5 paints to get up to the colour that I end up with.
yeah, I'm
It
a
would
one
go
paint
horribly
kind of
wrong.
guy.
One kind of go. Paint, wash, paint.
Yes, exactly.
All the way.
Brush paint, dry brush.
Yeah. I think all of the techniques I'd like to get better at. To be honest,
Painting.
I tend to I tend to keep with what I'm used to, which is just straight out painting colours, washing, and then highlighting. I don't stray far from that. The only time I have really strayed from that is when I did the whole dry brushing base coat on these guys. So getting better at them all really is my answer to that one.
Yeah, what I would like to continue to do is basically freehand. When I did my eagle on the Comsa Gamza American Marine,
Oh yeah.
I found a little technique which actually, I don't know if anyone else uses this or not, but it seemed to work quite well. I put the image into Photoshop, and then I changed, I can't remember the setting, unfortunately, but I changed it into one of the settings that made the picture look like a painting.
Yes.
See where all the strokes and the colours were a lot easier than an actual image.
Yeah.
And I printed that off and I used that as a reference for the brush strokes and stuff.
That's a really good idea, yeah.
So eventually I want to paint some rhinos, and on the rhinos I actually want to have some warps on there. Not basic stuff that I'm putting onto the shoulder pads, I mean like proper pictures of wolves. Yeah. So that's my ultimate goal.
Wow.
But whether I'm going to be able to do that, I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping to improve on or achieve at some point. Yeah, freehand for me, just up the game on the freehand, really.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to improve all over, really. Just better airbrushing techniques, I think, and just painting different types of miniatures. You know, I spent so long painting Blood Angels. It's trying to paint something different, like the Dead Man's Hand stuff and the Alien versus Predator stuff, and the Bloodthirster, for example. It's just different models kind of force you to use different techniques and different colours as well.
Yeah, just red.
So yeah. Well, this is it. You know, I mean, flipping, I've got 150 odd paints, and you only sort of use 20 of them, don't you? But, well, no, not more.
I think you just got one paint pot. Just
one big red, blood red.
Left on red. That's it. That's all you've got. That's all you own.
That's true. I've got
just
one shade of red.
Layered on top of the black, so it gives you different shades.
Absolutely right. Yes. Yeah. What do I use? I use about 5 different reds to do my Blood Angels. But yeah, it's but yeah, I do like painting different types of things. But then I did that Bloodthirst, and that was red too. So I should have painted something different. But certainly the Dead Man's Hand stuff, like painting kind of real world people, rather than fantasy or sci-fi type stuff. Trying to get skin tones well and faces as well. Painting faces is an interesting kind of progression for me as well. Trying to get that looking better, make it more realistic. And eyes, can't do eyes. And like you were saying with those pens, we used to use those pens for eyeballs. That was always quite handy. But try to develop that now using brush and paint instead.
You saying about the skin tones? I have no chance of doing skin tones. My art teacher, I believe it or not, took A-level art, and my art teacher basically said we were painting like a section of Michelangelo's, or we were doing it in pastels, a section of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. So I took the fella who's sitting on a cloud holding somebody else's skin in his hand, and basically painted the skin green, so it looked like the Incredible Hulk was holding like some green fella's skin. It was awesome, but the important thing of that project was getting the skin tones right. But I had very little chance at getting the skin tone right. I just gave up from the first moment and just said, right, he's going to be green because I can do it. Just do the shades. Just do the shades. I'll be damned if I'm doing like yellowy, pinky, red, the skin. No chance.
Yeah, there's a theme there, isn't there? You do orcs, the green skin.
Yeah.
Green Dark Eldar.
Yeah, my tower green.
Have you got a favourite colour?
Yeah, the logo for the channel is green.
Well, you've only got one green paint as well, haven't you?
Well, yeah. Just wait until this place is green. It will happen. We've had. Is everyone okay with that answer? Because we've had some other questions that we can quickly go over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Channels that we watch to learn new techniques. That's an interesting one.
I like the GW painting videos.
All right.
Duncan.
Yeah, they're good actually. They're good.
They're really, really good painting videos. So I must admit they're really good.
I didn't even know they were doing them.
Yeah, for ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You should watch them. Duncan at GW does some really good painting videos.
All right. There we go.
To be fair, from my side, I don't, unless there's something particular that I want to paint that I've not painted before, then I would just literally YouTube it. So if I want to paint, I don't know, say, I need to know how to paint bone colour or something, I'll just YouTube how to paint bone colour, see what pops up, watch 2 or 3 videos, get some ideas from there. I don't have like a go-to channel. I tend to see, like, get it from several points of view, and then make my own mind up.
I don't think I've ever watched a video to learn how to paint. I must admit, I've tried to
Too
watch
good
some.
already. Just...
Well, no, I've tried to watch some and just thought this is far too much work and just turned it off.
Where's my dry
times,
brush?
to be honest, yeah, where's my dry brush?
And green paint.
When's the washer going to be used on this video? This is ridiculous. It's not a good way to be, I will admit, but that is how I am, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, for me, I think, especially for me Night Lord stuff, because currently, and I think this is my longest painting project ever, is Conrad Kurz, because obviously I've only got one Primark, and I want to do as much possible, best to quality as I can with Conrad, as well as accurate to the background and stuff. I usually go to the apathetic fish.
Yeah, apathetic.
He does a
Oh,
lot of
yes.
stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Do the blues. I think I learned how to do the lightning bolts from him and all that. I'll admit, like, mine won't look as good as his because I think it's white paint problem. It's the white paint's always either too thick or too thin. Yeah. So I just paint it on. From distance, it looks alright. When you look up close, it just looks blotchy as anything. It's like, yeah.
I used to watch this guy called Buy Painted. He was called, and well, he still is, but he went paid only content, unfortunately. So I don't watch him anymore. But he's got a back catalogue of back catalogue of videos, for some that are still available for free. But yeah, he really good sort of simple techniques and a mix of airbrushing and paintbrush as well, which is kind of what I'm trying to do myself, so that was good for me. But like I say, yeah, I'm like Nick in that respect. If I want to paint something particular, I'll see if anyone I'm subscribed to is doing that kind of thing, or just YouTube it, Google it, whatever, just to sort of see, get some techniques. But like you, watching the Warhammer TV painting guides, they're really useful, really good, and simple to follow as well if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You do get a bit on the back of the... I mean, you don't get techniques, but you get the colours on the back of these boxes, don't you? But, I mean, that's not very helpful in the grand scheme of things, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not green, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure I don't even think there's any green at all on this thing. I mean, what are they playing at? Ha! That's no way to paint something.
I usually I watch a few videos here and there, but I always try and keep them with a pinch of salt, only because I think my painting style is more gritty, like darker, and trying to be more realistic at times. And I find that Games Workshop can be slightly a bit glow in the dark at times, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Just highlights are very bright.
You switch it off and it glows. It's like making a little mini dubstep party in your home.
And we've had several questions. One of them was about to airbrush or not, or is it airbrush or against?
I'm a fan of it.
Oh.
Yeah. Just quickly go through the lot of us, yay or nay. It's I'd like to for me, so yay.
Yeah, I would like to as well.
Yeah, certainly for priming and varnishing, and I'm trying to get better at other stuff as well.
Varnishing, that's a good point. Nick,
Have
you ever?
No, I'm happy without an airbrush. I can definitely see the advantages for base coating, because I obviously had a few issues with the rattle cans, but I'm quite happy with my little paint brushes.
All right. Kim?
I think for... Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
What? Yeah. Okay, I have a lot I want to say about it, but yes and no.
Okay, yes and no. Brilliant.
Nice.
Meaning, you can do really cool stuff with the airbrush, but the cleaning and everything, the work with that, I hate it.
So just for big projects and just for basing and that sort of thing, if you big projects where you have to do little cleaning as possible, I think is a... Right, Callum, you were interrupted, sorry.
That's all right. I would not have been able to paint Guard without it, so yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a yay from me.
I think I could probably have replaced the dry brushing job with an airbrush, to be honest. but that's only on the armor. I've had to go in with a brush too, and actually properly paint the skin and all the metal bits and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
But what you can do, you you thin down your whites, you off whites, and you hit them from the Senate.
Oh yeah.
When you have paid for it, and then you put on washes, and then you get a really good. It will look really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Actually,
Yeah, I mean, certainly with those paint in the rear colours, to paint with a brush, yellows and whites and stuff,
Yeah.
Through the airbrush, like you said, Kim, it is spot on. You'll get really nice effects, with those sorts of colours. But that's something else I suppose to think about.
One thing I didn't mention when we were talking about painting and paint techniques, I have actually got a mate, and his entire Orc army was sprayed white and then painted with washes.
Yep.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So he didn't even touch an opaque paint. I think maybe he did some silvers, but other than that, it was all down to the different coloured washes, which I thought was a brilliant way of doing it. And it's fantastic if you've got a massive army of boys as well.
Yeah.
It's all
Like
right.
Nick was saying earlier, it's about just trying something new, isn't it?
Nice.
Yeah, Fritz's nids are painted like that as well,
All right.
just with washes. Yeah.
So it's a done thing, and I think it's probably one of the fastest ways of doing it. It's probably one of the most forgiving ways of painting as well.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, I've always thought about trying to do Nurgle Plague Bearers as sprayed white and then sepia wash everywhere to give it that gunky yellow look.
Yeah.
I think that'll be quite nice. I mean, I've tried not saying it in the past, but when I look at sepia, it is the magical colour of all magic. Because every time, I've tried not using sepia's always done the job for anything that I've put over. So it's like, I've got bronze here, and that's absolutely brilliant for the gritty gold that I'm trying to go for me Night Lords and stuff. Sepia wash over that gives it a lot of depth, and it just looks rusted, but not orky rusted, where it's all that stuff. So I think sepia is very good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the verdict's in. Kim has won the beard of the show. It's official. That's in. First person to get a comment on the old beard. I meant to actually have a shave, not totally off, but take some of it off before this show, but I couldn't find my shaver. It's been hidden.
Me too, man. Me too. Oh, too much beard.
Yeah. Did we have any other questions? Oh, has anyone ever been tempted to try? This is one of the questions. I think it was from Tattoo for You. Was non-metallic metals. I'll get the words out. Non-metallic metals. Has anybody ever been tempted to do those?
Too lazy.
They look horrifying to me.
Yeah, it looks really difficult.
I am way too lazy.
Yeah.
Too lazy.
Yeah.
They make metal paints for a reason.
Yeah, especially if they make metallic paints.
Yeah. So do you think it adds anything to a model, or is it just bragging rights?
It's probably
Bragging rights. I
Rights.
think it looks really cool to be fair, but
I
there is
think
no
the
way
problem
that
is-
I actually go for it.
The problem with that is you have to look at it in an exact angle. If you're off, you will look really corny.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see your point on that. Yeah.
Mm.
Thought that was interesting because it seems that more and more people, especially when Grey Knights came out, just started doing non-metallic metals all over the place.
Oh,
It seems to have died down again now.
Grey Knights is I'm looking forward to starting some Knights Errant because I'm just going to be spraying the whole thing in metallic and just dipping it in a wash.
Perfect.
Get my dry brush out and I'm done.
You not thought about doing them actually grey instead of silver? Because some people just do them grey rather than silver.
I kind of like the silver. Like when I was painting my Necrons, I managed to do 20 Necron warriors in an hour and a bit because it was just get the airbrush out, do it all silver, wash it, and then I had a couple of colours I chose to apply as well. But I could honestly paint 20 Necrons to tabletop in a 40 minutes because it's just all metallics, and then it's just give them all a wash.
That is the wargaming dream for a lot of people, isn't it?
I'm very lazy.
Talking about metallic paints, Tamiya do a good range of metallic paints. Don't know if you guys who use these ones, but they've got all sorts of different colour metallics and so on, so it's useful to do.
I use their powdered. They're pigments, the weathering pigments.
Weathering stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never used their.
The actual
paint.
acrylic paints are quite good as well. But yeah, I've basically used their metallic paints. They have a nice, like a bolt gun, a very bolt gun metal sort of style. They're very dark, sort of rifle metallic color as well, which is good.
That's cool. Is it? We've been going for about an hour and 10. Is it worth taking any more questions, or shall we say goodbye?
All the questions, nothing but the questions.
Forever, no sleep, just the questions.
Sleep is for the weak.
Yeah.
Do we still have questions?
There's a couple, but
I'm not sure. I can't scroll up.
I'm happy to call it here. I mean, there's only a couple, so it should be all right.
Go for it then.
I will do one thing actually. So instead of just ending it right now, no more questions. But how about this? You should all try and do a synchronized bro fist into your cams. That I think we should do.
This is so YouTube. Right.
Okay. So who's going to count us
down?
in? Yeah.
I'll let you do it.
Okay. So 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Yeah. So synchronized.
Yeah. We should like dance in water and stuff.
Was that interpretive dance or?
It can be. If you were to put me in the water doing that dance, I would probably swim in a direction. Anyway, right. I think we're going to leave it there. Thanks everyone in the chat for giving us your questions and for joining in. Really, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun doing these videos, and it's done a great deal to get everybody in the Legion together. I think we're getting more and more people involved, and it's nothing but goodness. Yeah, so thanks to you guys for joining me on the chat. I think this one's gone off without any technical hitches whatsoever, which is a first.
Yeah.
So I'm
Fantastic.
really chuffed with that. It's been a nice relaxed show for once, rather than me frantically trying to fix things, so that's been good.
Let's all pretend to freeze.
Yeah. Bastards. Right. I think there's not much left to say other than, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and bye.
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 Ta-da.